Okay, we'll get started. Okay, so good morning, everyone. As I say, welcome to this morning's webinar on studying during the pandemic. So my name's Sam Dedico. I'm the UK Conversion Manager here at the University of Wolverhampton. So a very warm welcome to you all. I'm sure many of you have used Zoom before in the world that we now live in. It's weird to think that this time last year, none of us really knew what Zoom was or that it existed, and now it's in our daily lives. But just to kind of reiterate how you can use the platform for today's webinar. So at the bottom of your screen, you should see a Q&A tab, a Q&A icon. So if you do have any questions that you would like to put forward to our student ambassadors, then of course please do post them in there, and we'll either answer those live or we'll respond to you by message. If we can't answer your question, then obviously we'll make sure we follow that up and we get the answer to you as well. As I say, when it comes to typing into the Q&A section as well, if you can also just avoid putting in any personal information and contact details. So obviously it's a platform that everyone can see, so just make sure that you avoid doing that. Before I hand over to our lovely ambassadors, I just wanted to kind of go over the way that the university's approached the pandemic and responded to the pandemic. So as we're all aware, the last 10-12 months have been an unusual one for us all, and we've had to obviously adapt to new guidelines and new ways of living and new ways of working. And so you can find all of the information you need on the university's approach to COVID-19 via our Road to Reopening and Coronavirus web pages, which you can see on the slide. And obviously that gives you the latest information and also some frequently asked questions as well. So hopefully that image that we all can see on the screen, it won't be much longer until we can see scenes like that again and we are back on campus fully, fingers crossed, not much longer. When we went into the first lockdown in March, obviously we were in the situation that we were in at the moment, but when we did then see that easing up and we were able to have more teaching on campus, we had obviously a blended learning approach. So that was a mixture of face-to-face delivery on campus, virtual lessons and lectures delivered online. So obviously with that blending learning, it involves a mix of recorded lectures, online learning resources, face-to-face teaching, and for some of our critical key worker courses, so those within our Institute of Health and Institute of Education, there obviously are also some practical elements involved on campus as well. So at the moment we are pretty much all off campus working online, but as I say, as and when we kind of get more guidelines from Public Health England and the government, we'll obviously kind of adapt to that and respond to that, and you'll be able to find all that information you need on those web pages. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to our ambassadors. So we have 4 of our current students and our student ambassadors who are here today to provide some really useful information, advice and guidance, some hints and tips on how they've responded to working and studying during the pandemic. So guys, do you want to introduce yourselves? So by starting off with name, the course that you're studying and the year that you're in.
Okay, so my name's Jeff Thompson. I'm in the I'm a third year student and I'm studying cybersecurity.
Tia.
Hi, I'm Tia. I'm also third year, but I'm studying business and tourism management with also Spanish and Dutch attached to that.
Nice. Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a musical theatre student. I'm also in third year too.
And then finally, Shaquille.
Hello, I'm Shaquille. I study drama with QTS and I'm in my third year.
Brilliant. Okay, so a few of you then in your final year, that last year, most important one. So guys, obviously I'm going to go through some questions and put those to you. So maybe if we go through the order on the screen. So the first question then is, how have you found, and it's a big question, how have you found the last 10 months with your studies?
So the last 10 months, first of all, moving to online, because I'm a cybersecurity student or computing, it was actually quite easy for me. So all the lectures moved online. You have to be very disciplined. You have to be very organized. So because you don't have to go to university, what I did is I made use of Outlook. I made sure the calendar was populated with all my lectures, workshops. So I knew when I had to attend, when I didn't have to attend. And I was very disciplined to make sure that I did attend when I needed to. All the hand-ins, all the sort of work that needed to be handed in, I made sure they were done before time. There's nothing worse than leaving it to the last minute and having a panic attack. So just be organized, just be disciplined, and make sure that you hand things in before time, so you've got time to change it, and make use of something like Outlook or whatever you want to do to make sure you attend to lectures and workshops when you need to. You don't want to miss anything. It's the worst thing you want to do. But apart from that, the university's complement of online learning, blended learning, I found to be very, very useful and very, very easy. That's probably because I'm a bit of a geek, but it's been quite useful for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Tia?
Yeah, for me, actually, it's been quite easy being a business student. We've always had access to all of our lectures online anyway. All the material's always been on there. So if you're ill or something, you can just get on with the work at home. So, and now it's just kind of been pretty much that all the time. So it's not really been a great big transition. I've had like great contact with all of my lecturers. I can email any of them any time of the day, and I know I'll get a response within 24 hours. So it's been really easy. And like you say, you've got to be diligent with your time. For me, it's kind of the opposite. I could sit at the computer all day if I let myself just keep working. So for me, it's been make sure you go outside, do some exercise, see some greenery, and then come back in and do a bit more work. But yeah, no, the transition's been really simple and really easy for me.
I think most of us can relate to you on that one, Tia. Obviously, digital fatigue and being at your computer or lots of hours. But yeah, some good advice there in terms of making sure you have that time in your day to actually get outside and get some fresh air.
Breaking it up. Yeah,
that's it, exactly. Lovely. Okay, Emily.
Mine's been a bit different because usually I am on campus. Due to the nature of my course, I dance and act and sing. So trying to dance from home has been very interesting. Not the easiest thing to maneuver. I'm like dead serious about that. But then again, with that, they moved all of our theory modules to semester 1, hoping that we'd be able to return on campus this semester. Unfortunately, it hasn't gone to plan, but they have been really supportive, our lecturers, and have like given us guidance of how we can use the space that we have to our advantage. So they obviously are advising any kind of dancing modules. We are doing solos, and obviously being at home comes with its own difficulties anyway, like dogs barking and mums and dads making you do all your chores. So it does come with its own difficulties, but as long as you have a clear mindset and obviously you speak to your parents or your guardians, whoever you're with, and say, look, I have lectures here, I need to do this, and I will fit in whatever I can in between that. I've had to do that with my parents. So but other than that, lecturers are really supportive, and as long as you're open and you talk to them about how you're struggling at home, then they can help you in like many ways. So
yeah, again, definitely animals are a distraction, aren't they? I've got 3 cats and they're now my colleagues, and they like sit around me on meetings and everyone knows them. Lovely. Thanks, Emily. Okay, over to you, Shaquille.
Yeah, so for me, the transition's been quite smooth, actually. I found it quite useful for my time personally. I feel like I can do more in the day because I haven't got to go to campus. So it's been quite useful. But also in semester 1, I was on campus as well with the blended learning. So it's the best of both worlds, really. So I just found I could utilize my time more. You could still use the library. Not the same, you had to book, but still everything's accessible. The lecturers became more accessible as well, more hot in their emails. So that was a bonus. The only thing I've struggled with is technology. I had to get a new phone, probably should get a new laptop. I had to loan out a laptop. So yeah, if you're not hot on your technology, you might have struggled in these last however many months. And I think that's the challenge for me personally, getting to grips with all this technology stuff and being hot on it, because that's the way it's going to go for a while.
Yeah, definitely. And you touched upon the fact that you loaned a laptop from the university. So do you want to tell us more about that in terms of how you went about getting that set up and sorted?
as I say, you could use the library as normal, but you have to request things rather than just go in and pick it yourself. And I actually found out about the laptop scheme through a person that I knew, and they just said you can loan a laptop. So
Yeah.
I just went on my account, clicked loan, requested it, and then picked it up the next day. And yeah, it's all groovy.
Yeah. And that's something that's relatively new that the library have introduced, that laptop loan scheme, isn't it? So, you know, it's really useful, as you say, if you find yourselves in a situation where, you know, you haven't got the IT equipment needed, that you have got that available at the university if you do need to access it. So perfect. Okay, so the next question then is, what would be your top tips for studying from home effectively? So you've kind of touched upon, some of you have touched upon it already, but what would be your top tips for how you've found studying at home, and anyone who's obviously looking at starting a course, and we'll be doing that shortly, obviously, what would be your advice and your top tips?
So the top tip would definitely be find a place where you can study effectively. So whether it's your bedroom, whether you got study, I've actually made a little gazebo in the garden, which is fine unless it's really cold, just so you can get away from distractions in the house, sit down, concentrate on your work. So that's my top tip. And the other one, which I touched on earlier, was to make sure you're organized and disciplined. So you know what's happening when you need to be where, but also, as Tia said, make time for yourself, because that's really important. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Tia?
So yeah, I've again, with the designated study area, you definitely need that space where you're in the right mindset, that you know, right, I'm going to do my work now. It's not Netflix time. It's not play with the dog time. It's get your computer out, get your textbooks out, and do the work. So for me, I always find it really useful to actually work by a window, just because there's a lot of natural light and you've got something to look at when you do need to look away from the computer. And yeah, just structuring your day. I mean, that's one thing I maybe have struggled with a bit, is not having the structure of, okay, at 10 o'clock I'm going to be in class, 12 o'clock I'm then going to go to the gym, and then after that I'm going to go and do this bit, and then I'm going to study for a few hours. Not having that structure, so you kind of have to build your own structure and make sure you've got enough of you time, study time, family time, chore time. Yeah, there's a lot to fit in, but yeah, structure definitely for me.
Yeah, perfect. And I think a lot of us are have those routines, don't we? And we'd have had the routine that we would have been in before lockdown and the pandemic, and then it's just adapting to that and creating a new one, isn't it? So
yeah,
it's a little
definitely
bit different to the usual one, but yeah, definitely good to have that routine in place. Okay, Emily?
Yeah, I mean, the same as the others. Like, if you have a desk, then work from your desk, or if you can work in your kitchen, work from your kitchen. It's obviously your body's so used to, if you are sitting on your bed. I mean, I'm sitting on my bed now because I don't have a desk, but it's just, even if you don't have a desk, make sure when you get up in the morning, you get out of your pajamas and you get into clothes, so your body knows that, oh, like, this is time to work. Like, if you're still in your pajamas, your body will automatically think that, oh, it's time for bed. And it doesn't obviously help if you are working from your bed. So I definitely think, get up, have some breakfast, wake yourself up, have a shower, and get into clothes. Because if you are just lounging around in your pajamas all day, then your mind automatically thinks, oh, it's time for bed. Like Tia said, open your curtains, get some natural light in, because then you're also telling your mind that it's daytime. So yeah, especially obviously if you don't have the space to have a desk, then obviously work from where you can, but make sure you're getting yourself back into that routine, and literally set out times. I used to set out times where I'd wake up, and then at 8:30 I'd have breakfast, then at 9 I'd have a shower. Like, I literally planned everything just so it made me feel like I'm back into a routine. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Perfect, thank you. And Shaquille?
Yeah, so I agree with the rest, really. There's nothing else to add, really. They've took all my answers. All I would say is that to go along with that, it's sort of like tricking your mind. So you got to know yourself. You got to know what you're good at, what you're weak at, and then plan from there, really. So once you know yourself, you're able to trick your own mind and do little things that are going to help you to study better for you, because not everyone's a morning person, or not everyone's an evening person, so you just got to figure out what's going to work for you, really.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so how has the university then adapted to practical sessions for the online world? So Tia, you touched upon the fact that, you know, before the pandemic, you had a lot of your lectures that were available online and recorded. Emily, I know obviously studying kind of musical theatre, obviously there are practical elements. So when it comes to kind of the online delivery of teaching, how have you found that overall? Has that been similar to what you'd experienced before the pandemic? And when it comes to things like practical and interactive elements, how's that been? So Jeff, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so it's because I'm in computing, it's actually been relatively easy. So there's all sorts of equipment at the university, workshops, you know, switches and hubs and what have you. However, we're lucky that there's online applications that duplicate it. So all we've done is move from plugging in switches and plugging in this and plugging in that to doing it virtually and dragging and dropping it on a screen. So you can still do an entire network on your screen and see if it runs, see if it works and what have you. So we're doing exactly the same as we were before. We're just doing it online rather than in the university campus. So we're not actually missing anything. We're doing exactly as we were before, which I found really, really helpful. So I can actually do it on my own time, on my own pace, and make sure everything works. So it's been seamless for myself, really. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Tia?
Yeah, so my course doesn't actually have really any practical elements to it at all, other than specific talks given by members of the industry. What I would say that the university has done really well is how well they've structured it online. So we actually have recorded sessions for each lecture, so you can go and you can listen to it. I mean, one thing I noticed, I had to go back to square one and find out how do I learn the best. So I did a little online quiz, which will tell you, are you a reader, are you a listener, are you a watcher? And mine came back as a listener. So it was really great to have each lecture as if we were in class. I mean, I've been studying solely from home, I've been staying away from Wolverhampton. So yeah, having those recorded lectures and being able to listen to the work as if I was in class has been really helpful. And they definitely haven't dropped the ball on quality. We did an assignment with West Bromwich Albion. So we had several talks given by their marketing director and we were able to ask questions, and it was really interactive as if we were in class. So yeah, I think they've done a really great job at it.
Perfect, thank you. Emily?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've had to turn my front room into kind of like a dance studio. I did have my first practical lesson on Wednesday, and that was, for someone who hasn't done like a serious kind of exercise in a while, that was a bit tough, but I'm actually glad that I am able to get back into dance and have my dance sessions as such. But like I said before, like they are so understanding. If you don't have the space, then they're completely understanding. They won't mark you down for that. They won't take that into consideration. They want to see that you're still determined and you want to work as hard as you would have done in the studio. I mean, we have singing lessons still over Zoom. Isn't ideal when there's a time difference, but I'm still grateful that I'm receiving singing lessons and they're still able to deliver those, because it, you know, just any kind of practicality that I can get, I will take. So I really have enjoyed, even though yes, I am at home, I really have enjoyed still having the practical element to my course. And, you know, we can only do what we can do. The lecturers can only do what they can do. And obviously, if you have the space, then great. If not, then they said, you know what, go over to a park, make sure obviously it's safe, and, you know, go and do some tap dancing. And, you know, who cares what anyone says? Just, you know, if you have that space, then great. If not, then they're fine with the space that you have, and you can manipulate what you need to do to make it work for you. And especially now with technology, if you're doing an ensemble piece or you want to do a duet, then, you know, all you have to do is record the two things and then you can just put it together. So and I'm sure like my friends are going to record things for me and send it over, so you can use that to your advantage as well. So it really does give you the flexibility. So I guess the pandemic is a blessing and a curse in a sense. So yeah.
Lovely, yeah. And with the West End stars and Broadway stars, they all did those online kind of recordings, didn't they, of the ensemble pieces? So yeah, lovely. Okay, and then Shaquille, over to you.
Luckily, all my practical stuff was in semester 1, which is where there was less lockdown restrictions, if you like. So we were still able to go on campus and be in the studio. I think the way that they adapted it was lecturers sometimes zoomed in and taught us in the space. So we were still in the space doing practical stuff, but there was just a floating head on the wall talking to us. So that was interesting to see. And we did a lot of work that was still social distance, but still able to interact. So they did a interesting work around that. The only thing that potentially could have suffered was group work, because we had a module where we had to plan a project together. And I don't know if it's just drama students or like anyone that's in a practical space, but some people, just in general, not everyone learns the same way. So what we had found was some people wouldn't listen during lecture or couldn't engage because it's online, but that's just down to their preference. So when it come to group work, they wasn't up to speed, or it was quite hard to interact without face-to-face, like say, do this, do your work. But yeah, it's still all Gucci. I'm still good. And in semester 2, I'll still be on placement anyway, because I have to teach. So either way, I'm still doing practical stuff. So it's worked out all right for me.
Yeah, great stuff. And you mentioned obviously about teaching and placement. So talking about that, then, how have you found that experience of going out on placement during the pandemic? Did you go out during the pandemic, or?
No, so they're setting me up with a placement now, and I will have to go out on placement. Some teachers are out on placement right now, but with drama, with QTS, we're not quite there yet, but we will be on placement. It just depends how the school operates. So if the school's online, we'll teach online. If they're still teaching in class, we'll go in class. Hopefully it's in class, because drama online, I don't know.
Yeah, well, as you say, you have a lot of theory, don't you? Which is, you can have that on a digital platform, but yeah, as you say, when it comes to the practical elements, you want to be using those facilities, don't you? And the amazing facilities that we have on campus for our performing arts students. So hopefully, as I say, it won't be too much longer before we can start getting back on campus and using those facilities in that space. Obviously, there was that period of time between kind of the summer and the beginning of the year, September time, where we were having some teaching on campus. Did any of you go back on campus at any point over the year? Emily, you're nodding your head. Do you want to share with us how you found that experience?
Yeah, I moved back into accommodation at end of September. And because of my currently at home, I'm actually moving house, and I was worried that there was going to be another lockdown, so it was just ideal for me to move back home. But I was there for all of 4 weeks and I was so happy that I was able to go back and just at least see my friends and spend that time with them. Obviously I am hoping to move back in. That would be fantastic, but obviously being on campus, you are in that mindset. So obviously to be back on campus, you just feel like you are a student, whereas at home, I've just come home for the weekend. I feel like I've come home for the weekend for a long time. I've been here since March last year. But yeah, I do miss being on campus, and I would jump at the opportunity to move back. Just like you said, the facilities, you can't, a front room to a dance studio, you just can't compare. Harlequin floors and mirrors to a TV kind of thing. So yeah, I would love to be back on campus. That would be the dream right now.
Yeah. And you mentioned about accommodation as well. So how have you found the accommodation officers responded to the pandemic and supporting obviously those that are living in halls?
Yeah, so I actually have a couple of friends that are still on campus at the moment, and the accommodation services are really helpful with if you get an asymptomatic test, if you they've organized that. We have, I think it's weekly emails about that, and like even with the government updates. They've also, you know, we have to wear a mask every single time that you leave your corridor as such, because you obviously, that's it, obviously your corridor becomes your bubble and your household as such. So once you leave your corridor, masks on, you know, masks on campus. They've got, I'm sure they've got hand sanitizers like all around the campus, and social distancing marks on the floor and everything. So they've been hot on it. And obviously if you do have any issues, then they're there for you. I mean, I've emailed them a few times, and they have responded within 24 hours, like Tia said, like they are hot on it. I mean, that's the positive of everyone being online, is that your emails are seen within minutes usually. So yeah, it is good. And, you know, if you do have any difficulties, then no question is a silly question. You know, you can email them no matter what. And that's the same with lecturers as well. So they have been good.
Great stuff. And Tia, are you also living in halls? Is that right?
I'm a bit of a unique one. Being the early bird, I booked my room quite early on before the pandemic even started. And I'm actually shielding now. So I have a room in Bristol, in Wolverhampton, sorry. I've never actually stayed there, but it's there. My stuff's in it. It's ready to go in case the university opens up again. But yeah, no, I haven't actually stayed there yet.
Hopefully not much longer before you can get into that room and start living as residents. So
start being a student again. Yeah.
So, you know, on that note, then obviously when you do live in halls of residence, obviously it's an opportunity to meet people, you know, all over the UK, all over the world. And so how have you found kind of the social aspect of, you know, being at university, and how that's then translated online? Have you had opportunities to engage with those social activities on a digital platform? And if so, what's that look like? I don't know who wants to go first. Jeff, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so it is obviously different because you can't meet people face to face. However, we've adapted. So we have a lecture, we have workshops, but the first 5 minutes of the workshop or lecture, or even the last 5 minutes, the lecturer would just say, right, have a chat amongst yourself, and, you know, we can talk, we can update each other. We've also got a WhatsApp group. So we're all very conscious of loneliness because of people locked down pandemic wise. So yeah, people can always put in the WhatsApp chat, hey, I'm feeling a bit low, you know, and I'll come up with my dad joke. Not very good, don't ask me to tell one, and things like that. But yeah, we're all there to support each other. We don't want anyone feeling a bit lonely. So the university has done really, really well, as much as they can do, but we also have to do things ourselves. So yeah, make time, last 5 minutes for a workshop, last 5 minutes for lecture, just say, you know, can we have a chat amongst ourselves and just talk about general things. It's a good way just to get things off your chest, you know, see people, talk to people that you know, and it's the best way we found to do it. Also, as I said, set up a WhatsApp group so anyone can say, you know, midnight, probably not suggest that, I'm feeling a bit low. You know, and people talk to you and say, you know, what's up? Is there anything we can do? They might not be able to do anything, but just the thought that someone's listening to you really helps.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, some really nice sound advice there. And also, as you know, we've got the health and wellbeing pages as well, haven't we? And the mental health and wellbeing pages. So if anyone does really need any support, there's plenty of resource available for students and staff. So great. Tia?
Yeah, pretty much following on from that. I mean, I've met a lot of new students that I haven't worked with before, just from the lectures. So obviously when you're on a lecture call, all your names are on the side. The first few times on social media and things, I've had students that have seen my name and popped up and said, hi, I'm in the class with you. And I'm like, oh, who are you? But yeah, that's been quite fun and quite interesting, getting to know new people that way. And yeah, I've had a lot of great lecturers that like Jeff says, they'll turn the camera on, and 5 minutes before they get going, while they're waiting for everybody to come in, they'll say, oh, just chat among yourselves and how you doing. And I mean, I'm quite lucky. I've known all my lecturers pretty much throughout my study. So one of them, actually my supervisor, I've had for the last 3 years. So we know each other quite well. So it's always just, oh, how are you? What you been up to? It's really nice to do that. And obviously our calendar is full. Well, mine's packed full of SU optional events. So there's always the optional movie nights and things like that you can get in touch with people. And even if you don't use it, it's really great to know that it's there. if you were feeling lonely, you could just pop onto it, and there's people there that will chat and see how you are and things. So yeah.
And you mentioned the SU as well. So are you involved in the SU? Have you been involved in the SU before, or?
I was last year, less so this year, just because it's difficult being connected to everything. But I do pop on there, like I said, for the movie nights or some of the club meetings and things, and just see what's going on. But it's a great resource to have there, and that it's just automatically plumped in your calendar. You can see exactly where it is. It's not you've got to find it or find an email about it. It's just there, and if you want to connect with it, you can, and it's really helpful.
Yeah. And there's a talk actually today at 1:30. So if anyone does want to find out more about the SU and the Students' Union, then it'd be good to join that webinar at 1:30, and there'll be the SU representatives there who will talk to you about what they do and all the different kind of activities that they offer students. So great, thanks, Tia. Emily?
Yeah, so we actually got 2 new girls on our course this year. They came from a different university, and so it's been so nice to meet them as such over Zoom, and now we'd feel like they didn't come from a different university. We've been together for 3 years as such. That's what it feels like. So it is nice just to see everyone's faces. I think in semester 1 we were all a bit like, I don't want to show my face kind of thing on Zoom, but now we're like, nah, even if we're bundled up in like our cozy blankets because it's cold, and we're all like showing our cameras, so it is nice to see each other like that, even though we can't meet up. And that is obviously the other downfall of university. Everyone's from everywhere, so I'm in London, my friends are in Birmingham, and vice versa, like but also one thing that me and my friends have been doing, we've been actually FaceTiming while doing work, so we feel like we are in a library together. So it's also another way to motivate ourselves. So we're all on FaceTime or we're all on Zoom, and we motivate each other that. And obviously with Zoom, if we're having any difficulties, we just share our screen like, what do I do here? And it has been really useful that way. But then again, even while doing work, you need to separate your time and think, actually, with my friends, let's do a quiz, or let's watch a movie night together, Disney Plus or like Netflix party. That's always fun to do, or download apps on your phone that you can play games with each other virtually, so you're still having fun with your friends, but it's just you've got to adapt the ways you do that now. So but that has been really fun, because then it also feels like you're still living together. Me and my friend, we actually say, like, we'll get up at this time, we'll have breakfast together over FaceTime, and we basically spend the day together like once a week, just to feel like we are actually back on campus kind of thing. And it is really nice because it just gives you that sense of your normality for the past 3 years. So that has been really nice.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. And Shaquille?
Yeah, so pretty much what the others have said. Luckily for us, we're all 3rd years, so for me, I've made a lot of my friends already in 1st year and 2nd year. But I can't really speak for 1st years. I don't live on campus either, so can't really talk about the social life there. But for me, I've made the majority of my friends already, so I just give them a call or message them or whatever, FaceTime or whatever, So yeah, that's it really.
So we touched upon this earlier as well, just around, obviously we talked about the library, and we've talked about obviously student support and wellbeing. So how have you found the support, aside from kind of tutors and teaching staff, offered across the university? So we have obviously support departments such as the library and learning resources, we have accommodation, Students' Union, careers and employability. How have you found that they've adapted to online ways of working? Have you felt supported by those different departments over the last 10 months?
Definitely. I've got several roles at university, and one of them is students coming to me, so constantly on a daily basis, I have to determine what the issue is and direct them to the correct place. And I found it's been seamless, because generally if I was on university campus anyway and they were on Telford campus, I'd do it by email or something. So that hasn't actually changed. The university has put a lot more focus on mental health, mental well-being, because we're all sort of suffering a little bit. But I found the actual way of contacting them and how fast to get back to you has been really, really exceptional. And it's been a seamless transition, really. You can't actually tell that we're in a pandemic because I'm still doing the same methods of doing it. So yeah, it's working really, really well. And there is so much support out there from the Students' Union, from school reps, course reps, from wellness, health. If you got an issue, if you got a problem, there will be someone there to help you. We're all a helpful bunch here, the academics, the staff, the students. You are never alone. So you can always rely that there will be someone there that will be able to help you, give you some advice, give you some help. So, you should never, ever feel that you're on your own, because you won't be, I can guarantee that. You're on mute.
Oh, that old classic one, eh? It wouldn't be a Zoom session, wouldn't it, if we didn't say you're on mute. Tia, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I wouldn't say anything has changed, but I'd say it's definitely almost improved just with the connectivity of it. I mean, everybody has said previously, everyone's on their emails, all the departments are on their emails. So you can get a response from the health and well-being, the accommodation, literally within minutes. And if it's, on the weekend, then it'll be first thing, pretty much Monday, which I think is excellent, especially if you do need to ask for help. There's no easier or quicker way than doing it now. You don't actually have to go and see a physical person. You don't have to go and actually take yourself to the department. You can just email them and they're right there in your inbox when you need them. So I'd actually say the pandemic has improved it and made it more effective to get in contact with those departments. So yeah.
Great, thanks, Tia. And Emily?
I'm actually speaking from experience because I have suffered with my mental health during the pandemic, especially with difficulties going on at home, especially moving house, so packing and letting people in to see my house, while also trying to juggle writing a dissertation and lectures and all that. I have been able to apply for extensions and extenuating circumstances for essays or exams, so that has been really supportive. And all during semester one, they weren't asking for any evidence to justify why you're applying for an extension or extenuating, so that has been really useful. And obviously if you're applying for extensions for mental health reasons, they do automatically say after you've applied for it that, is this okay to pass this on to the mental health and wellbeing team, just so obviously they can write a note of that. And obviously if you're still applying for extensions and extenuating, then they will get in touch with you. And it is free, the support is free. They are there. I'm also, I'm receiving help from the NHS as well as, so it is good. And just to know that someone is there to listen to you, as Jeff said, it is so important. But also don't forget that everyone else is going through, we're all on the same boat. So if you are talk to your friends on your course, or talk to your friends from home or whatever, and say everyone is going through their own version of the pandemic, even though it is the same roughly for all of us. But just to be open with your lecturers, be open with your counselors or any kind of support, and be honest, say I am struggling, but I am trying to do what I can every day. And as long as they can see that you're still trying to work your hardest, then they have no issues. I've still got one more essay to hand in from semester one, but they completely understand because I've been in contact with them. I've said, look, I've done this, can you read over this, and blah 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 blah, and I want it handed in by Sunday. So to be really honest and open with them is really useful, because if you're not, it's a lot harder for them to understand why you've applied for an extenuating or why you haven't handed in that work. Or so obviously we completely understand that everyone has their own issues going on, as well as the pandemic, but as long as you're open and they are literally your friends as such, they are my extended community, so they are there to support you no matter what. So that has been really useful, knowing that something's there for you to, you know, lean on as such.
Yeah. Lovely, thank you, Emily, and thanks for sharing that as well. And as you say, it's so important if anyone is in that position where they are struggling. And I think, you know, there's a lot of people in that situation. You know, we've all dealt with the pandemic in our own way, and if we ever feel like we need support, it's just, as you say, about talking, and there's plenty of people that will listen and help and advise and support where they can. So yeah, lovely, thank you. And Shaquille, finally, if you...
Yeah, so for me, the only one I can talk on really is the library. So it's been useful. You can still book a space in there. You can still get out the physical books. A lot of books are online, but I like to get out the physical ones. So you can still request those, get laptops, book a space. So it's still pretty accessible, really, considering the circumstances. And credit to the library staff still coming into work every day and stuff like that and sorting out the books for me. So, yeah.
Brilliant, thanks guys. Okay, so finally then, just thinking about back to when you were in this position where you had applied to start at the university and you were looking to start in September, reflecting back on how you felt at that point, what would be your kind of key advice to anyone in that position about to start university? What would be your top advice to people in that position? Jeff?
So I'm an older, more mature student, so I was terrified that everyone else would be there 18 and I'll be the old man out. The only thing I can say is you're all there for the same purpose, and that purpose is to get a degree in your chosen subject and to do as well as possible. That's what binds you together, because you are all there for the same purpose. So whatever your concerns, whatever your fears are, don't be. Just go in there, put as much effort in as you can, and you will get out as much effort as you put in. And people there are supportive. Don't have any fears or concerns, because I can guarantee you won't be the only one. But it's the best decision I ever made.
Great, thanks, Jeff. Tia?
For me, I would have to say just do it. It sounds silly, but there's never a right time to jump into something as big and as important as education or getting your degree, kind of. So just start, and if you can get through the pandemic, I mean, I've pretty much learned that if you can get through this and study and still get good grades and maintain that level of work, you can do so much more than you thought you could at the start. So yeah, just accept the challenge and just do it. You'll get so many great experiences from it. You'll meet so many people and your lecturers and networking, and yeah, I always say there's never a perfect time. Just do it and you'll really enjoy it. I have, so yeah.
Lovely, thanks, Tia. Emily?
I mean, I never thought I was cut out to be a university student. Who knows still. But as soon as I walked, like even on the open day, as soon as I walked into the performance hub at Walsall campus, I just thought, oh my gosh, this is me. And that is the one thing obviously that I love about musical theatre, is that I do also have that practical side as well as the theory side. So even though I feel like I excel more in the practical element of my course, I still, you know, I'm getting support for the theory. But, you know, everyone's in the same boat. You know, you're all as nervous as each other. This is all something new. You've gone from being the oldest at A-level or in B-Tech or at college to now you're the youngest at university, and everyone else is like, oh. But, you know, the second years and third years were also where you were. So everyone's gone through the same thing. It is nervous, but it's a good kind of nervous. You're meeting new people, you're meeting new lecturers. You don't have to call anyone miss or sir anymore. It's all first name basis, which still, you know, even to this day weirds me out in some sense. But yeah, just understand that nerves are normal. And obviously be excited. It's a whole new journey of your life. It's a whole new chapter. 3-4 years of your life that, you know, will be amazing. And in a way, I'm kind of jealous that you've had this, you know, pandemic your first year, whereas hopefully it gets better from now on. Whereas for us, we had all the good stuff first, and then it's like, oh, third year, just went downhill. But we're still making good of a bad situation, you know. We're still trying our best, and you know, everyone's doing what they possibly can. So it's, yeah, just understand that you're all feeling the same. And you know, if you're open with someone to talk about it, like, I'm so nervous, they'll be like, oh, me too. And then you feel a lot better knowing that someone else is also nervous. But yeah, get in contact with people, you know, if you are on the same course, you know, find Facebook groups. When I first joined the university, everyone else already knew each other. And I was like, how do you all know each other's names? We've literally just met. And they were like, oh, we've been on a Facebook group chat. And I was like, what? And I was the only one that wasn't on this Facebook group chat. So I walked in knowing no one, and they were like, oh my gosh, you're so and so, and I was like, what? So don't do what I did, but you know, go and find pages or make a page, you know, but obviously be safe online. That is the underlying fact there. But you know, just make sure that, you know, everyone is in the same boat, you all feel the same.
Perfect. Thanks, Emily. And Shaquille?
Yeah, so for me personally, I was excited. I was ready to start. I was good to go, really. I didn't have any nerves or anything like that. I was quite excited. So yeah, it was smooth for me. And what I would say to the old me, if I was starting again, try and know where your course is going. So there's a journey throughout 3 years. If you're doing a 3-year course, they plan it in a certain way, and it's going to take you a certain way. So just know what's to come, because the workload does get more and more each year. And just know your end goal. So know the options when you finish. So like plan a few options, because not everything goes as expected, as we're witnessing right now. And enjoy it, man. First year, enjoy yourself, because it gets harder.
So thanks, guys. And yeah, it was a long time ago when I was at university, but definitely agree with everything that you were saying. It's an unrivaled experience for me so far, and I'm always very jealous of people who are about to start that journey at university, because it's a great experience. So yeah, as you say, the main thing is about enjoying it. So lovely. Thank you ever so much to you all for sharing your experiences with us all. Some really nice sound advice there throughout, so thank you for that. I'm just going to quickly share my screen with everyone so that we can look at next steps in terms of what else you can do at today's applicant day. Okay, hopefully you can see that slide. So the Applicant Day Live Hub page is this link here. So that kind of points you to all the activities that you can do throughout the day. So we have live talks taking place right up until 1:30. So you can join any of those, and those will be webinars like this session is. And then we also have the live subject sessions as well. So we have Faculty of Arts, Business and Social Sciences, which is from 11 till 1. And then we have FSC, which is from 12:30 till 2:30. You can also chat to staff online from various departments across the university via the Applicant Day Live webpage. So we have staff from admissions, accommodation, careers, fees and finance, international, student support and wellbeing, the Students' Union, and then finally we have staff from the 3 faculty areas. So if you have any course questions, or if you want to find out more information about your course, then you can ask staff in those Chatify online feeds. And then finally, we have the on-demand videos and tours. So they're available throughout the day, and they're also segmented by subject area and also then general videos as well. So we have tours of our facilities, so you can have a look at those at any point between now and 2:30. In terms of next steps, so after today, there's plenty of ways for you to kind of find out any additional information that you need and to ask questions. So we have our UniBuddy platform called, so it's Chat to a Student. So that's wlv.ac.uk/chat. And actually, Shaquille, you're on the screen there. There's your profile. So again, if you have any questions around the course, then you can ask a current student and they'll be able to provide the answer to those for you. And then we also have our Gateway team. So if you have any information that or any questions around finance, additional funding, or if you want some kind of guidance around your application, then the Gateway team will be able to help and support you. So wlv.ac.uk/gateway. And as I say, they'll be able to provide answers to any of those questions you have around those topics. You can chat to us as well on our website. So again, if you went onto our main webpage, we have that live chat. So again, any questions you can ask there, and that'll be directed through to the relevant team that look after the nature of your inquiry. And then finally, at the bottom, you'll see, obviously, we have lots of different social media channels set up. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I think that one's Snapchat. I don't have that one myself, but and then you've also got YouTube as well, which you can, again, find out any information or ask any questions via those platforms. So that concludes today's session. I hope you've all found it really useful. I have looked to see that we have got a couple of questions. So, so how do teachers teach in this pandemic? So I have responded to that one as well. So, and I know Shaquille, you touched upon it because I know you're studying a QTS course. So, you know, when it comes to the placement experience, you know, that has continued through the pandemic. If a school or college has been closed, as obviously the situation that we're in at the moment, then, you know, that is done and delivered online. You know, I know a friend of mine who is actually doing their PGC at the moment within mathematics. And so they have had a mix really where they've been out on placement and they've been into school and got that practical experience, but then also they've had that online as well over the last few weeks, where they've been doing kind of practice lessons with fellow students and delivering them to students who are studying that course, and then getting feedback from those students around their lesson plan and what that lesson looked like. So that's very much continued for those teacher training students. So yeah, I think that's the main question that's come through. Any others, again, we'll respond to those direct as well. Cool. Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen. Oh, okay, there's a couple of others as well. So I heard the teachers are a laid back university. I'm not sure with that one, what's meant by that one, but yeah, how have you found the teaching staff? Have you got a really nice relationship with them? And how many lectures and seminars and sessions do you have roughly per week?
I mean, my quality of teaching has not changed. It's still as in detail, in depth, still thorough, still working us as hard as possible. So I wouldn't say that the quality of teaching has changed. Obviously, yes, we are all working from home, or, you know, if you are at campus, then you are at campus. But the quality of teaching has not changed. Of course, everyone's had to adapt their teaching to where they currently are if they're at home. So that, in the only sense I can say, has changed. But obviously everyone feels different where if they're at home or if they're on campus. Like I said earlier, you are in your university mindset if you're on campus. Well, it is for me anyway. But I wouldn't say that the lecturers are laid back. You know, they still want you to, you know, be working hard and see that you're improving and doing work. But obviously they are still understanding if there are stuff going on at home, or if there's, you know, you've got your own personal circumstances or issues that you're dealing with. But then again, like I said, you need to just be open and let them know that you are struggling, but you are still trying to do work at the same time. But I wouldn't say they're laid back. They still want you to be working as hard as if a pandemic wasn't happening right now. In a way, they wouldn't want to see much of a change, but they are understanding and accepting if things are going on in your own personal life.
Well, thanks, Emily. I don't know if anyone else has anything they want to touch upon.
I'll just add to that one. So the lecturers, as Emily said, they're really helpful. They're really supportive. They want you to do the best possible job, best possible degree. However, they're not going to give you an easy ride, because that way it's what they say in life, anything that's easy isn't really worthwhile. So it is still going to be difficult, but they will give you lots and lots of support. So if you're thinking they're laid back and they're going to give you an easy ride, it's a definite no. They're very, very supportive and they want you to do their best, but it's still, you need to work hard to do it.
Brilliant. Tia?
Yeah, I'd say that the expectation is still the same, if not slightly higher, at least for me anyway. But yeah, you're still pushed to do your best. You're still expected to view the work online, do the work, do the peer marked work. I mean, I don't know how it works at the universities, but on Canvas, our lecturers can see what we've accessed, so they can email us and say, you haven't quite, done the amount you should have yet. So they're definitely still on top of it and still pushing us and still making sure that we're keeping up with the workload. But yeah, like Emily said, they're super understanding and accepting if you're having issues and you've told them about it, but they're definitely still pushing us. They're definitely not laid back at all. But yeah.
And Shakir, I don't know if you've got anything you wanted to add as well.
All I'd say is that I don't know about laid back, but from what I've seen, they've got a wealth of experience. So a lot of lecturers have been in a field, or they've got a wealth of experience from somewhere. They've not just been employed, just a random geezer off the street. They have credentials backed up. And another thing, I've operated in 2 different departments, drama and education. What you'll find is different departments work slightly different because they're a different set of people. Drama people are not similar to educational people, and they operate in different ways. So it just depends on you as well, because some people gel better and respond better to different styles of lecturers. Everyone's got their own style, and that's something we learn in teaching. You've got to teach your own way, and not everyone's gonna. It's your job to find a way to engage all students, but it doesn't work like that. Everyone's got their own style, and I don't know about laid back, but there's different lecturers for sure.
Yeah. As you say, that's all part of university, isn't it? It's like you just learn so much about yourself, and one of the examples is how you like to learn and your style of teaching and what you prefer. And I think that's university. There's such a huge community of staff and students, people from all backgrounds, all walks of life, all over the world. And yet you all have this common ground that you're all kind of obviously working and studying a subject that you love, and that's what kind of bonds you all together. So yeah, it's definitely, you find out a lot about yourself when you're at university, and what you enjoy and how you prefer to learn. So yeah, okay, lovely. Right, that concludes today. So as I say, thanks guys ever so much for sharing your experiences and that advice and guidance, and thank you for everyone for joining us. As I say, you can head to the Applicant Day Live webpage where you've got all the different activities that are taking place throughout today, and best of luck with your applications to the university, and hopefully we see you in September. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day guys, and take care. Thanks.